Once upon a time, there was a king who ruled over a distant land. His queen was a kind-hearted woman who loved and helped the poor, earning their prayers and blessings. God had also blessed them with a very handsome and intelligent son named Prince William. Prince William was a well-mannered child who always obeyed his parents, which made the king and queen love him dearly. One day, the queen was sitting with Prince William on the palace balcony, enjoying the view outside. There was a lot of activity not far from the palace. People were moving around on the streets, and the nearby market was crowded with men, women, and children busy with shopping and other chores. The Queen and Prince William were delighted to see all this. Suddenly, Prince William grabbed the Queen's arm and directed her attention to a boy who was about his age, walking with his mother. The boy stopped at the main gate of the palace, which was directly below the balcony where the Queen and Prince William were sitting, allowing them to hear the conversation between the boy and his mother clearly. The boy was saying to his mother, Mom, tomorrow is the prince's birthday. Promise me you will take me to his birthday party. If you don't promise, I won't go home." Saying this, he sat down on the ground. His mother replied, "We are poor people. Who would invite us to the prince's birthday party? Son, don't be stubborn and let's go home. Your father will be coming home from work, and I need to prepare dinner." Hearing this, the boy looked at the palace with disappointment and quietly walked away with his mother. Prince William said, "Mother, this boy really wants to attend my birthday party." His mother said that no one invites poor people to the prince's birthday party. Please tell the boy that, even if he is poor, he should definitely come to the birthday party. The Queen lovingly stroked Prince William's head and said, "Prince, we are happy that you think such good thoughts. Whether rich or poor, God created everyone. If we could, we would invite all the children in the country to your birthday party. But we cannot do that." Saying this, the Queen signaled a servant and said, "Quickly follow that woman and boy and quietly find out where they live." Following the Queen's order, the servant set off immediately and returned a little while later with the information. The next day, a royal carriage stopped at the poor woman's house. Her husband was at work. The maids got out of the carriage and went inside. One of the maids told the boy's mother that the Queen had sent a message inviting her and her son to the prince's birthday party. The maids had also brought a large tray covered with a silk cloth, which they handed over to the poor woman before leaving. The woman was very happy. Her son's wish had come true. When she told her son about it, he was also delighted. The tray contained a sparkling outfit for the boy, a golden sherwani and silver-colored silk pants, along with an embroidered cap and shoes. There was also a velvet pouch containing gold coins. The woman began to pray for the Queen, realizing that the Queen had overheard their conversation the previous evening. Her son, after seeing all the things, said, "Our Queen is so kind. She takes such good care of us. When Dad comes home and sees these things, he will be happy too." His mother said, "The Queen has indeed been very kind to us poor folks." The boy said, "What should I take as a gift for the prince? It should be something that everyone will admire. Now that we have gold coins, we can go to the market and buy something. I think we should buy a reed cart. The prince will be very happy to see it and will enjoy riding it around his palace." "Hush! A reed cart is not a suitable gift. People will make fun of it," his mother replied. "When your father returns from work, I will ask him, and then I will give the prince that magical mirror which a fairy gave to your father as a reward. This happened before you were even born. Your father had helped that fairy when she accidentally fell into a well and got badly injured. He brought her home, and we took care of her until she fully recovered. The special thing about this mirror is that if you think of anyone's name while looking into it, no matter where they are in the world, they will appear in the mirror. There are many such strange and wonderful things in fairyland." "But Mom, what will the prince do with this mirror? "We should get him a toy instead," the boy said. What better toy could there be? When the prince is playing in the garden and the king is in the court and the queen is inside the palace, he can see them in this mirror. For children, this is an amazing thing, a mirror that shows not one's own reflection, but distant people. The prince will also be able to see his relatives who live in other countries. Hearing this, the boy was satisfied. When her husband came home in the evening, she told him the whole story. Seeing the pouch of gold coins and their son's clothes, he was very happy and said, "All right, the magical mirror is a good gift for the prince's birthday." The next day, the woman arrived at the palace with her son to attend the prince's birthday party. The celebration was arranged in the palace's vast garden. Guests were seated on chairs covered with velvet. Since the queen had specifically invited the woman and her son, a maid respectfully seated them on the chairs. The boy's mother saw a strange scene there. Everywhere was chaos and commotion. Servants and maids were running around frantically, and royal guards were also searching the palace. The guests who had come for the birthday party looked worried. Seeing this, the woman asked a maid about it. The birthday celebration is about to start, but the prince is nowhere to be found. Everyone is searching for him. The maid quickly explained and went off to look for the prince herself. The king was also present. Despite the extensive search, when the prince was not found, he summoned the royal inspector and said, "Inspector, search every corner of the kingdom and bring our prince back to us by nightfall." The inspector scratched his head and looked at the king. He had no idea where the prince had gone. How could he find him in such a short time? Seeing his reaction, the king realized he might not be able to do it. Pacing in worry, the king began to think. The queen was devastated by the prince's disappearance, her tears showing no signs of stopping. Suddenly, the woman had an idea. She took out the magical mirror from her seat, glanced at it, and then approached the queen, saying, "Your Majesty, do not worry. I know where the prince is. Please come with me, along with the king, in private." It is not appropriate to mention this in front of everyone. Hearing the poor woman's words, the queen felt relieved. She told the king about it, and the three of them went to a room. The woman took out the magical mirror from a beautiful silk cover and said to the king, "Your Majesty, this is a magical mirror. A long time ago, a fairy gave it to my husband. My son brought it to gift to the prince. If you think of the prince while looking into this mirror, he will appear to you. I have already seen him. He is being held captive by someone." The king snatched the mirror from her hands. As soon as he looked into the mirror, he saw his prince. His hands and feet were bound, and his eyes were covered. Two men were standing beside him. The king recognized both of them. One was his minister, John a Lamb, and the other was a royal servant. This servant was assigned to look after the prince and serve him in the palace. The king had great trust in Minister John a Lamb. However, recently, the king had promoted another minister to the position of special advisor. John a Lamb was deeply upset by this because he had hoped to be made the special advisor. When this hope was not fulfilled, he sought revenge on the king by kidnapping the prince with the help of the royal servant. Seeing her prince in such a state, the queen was overwhelmed with grief, but the king was furious. He immediately went outside and ordered the chief inspector to arrest the treacherous minister and the servant and bring them before him. Upon hearing the king's command, the chief inspector, along with many soldiers, rushed to the minister's house, but the minister was not there because the door was locked. The inspector understood that the minister would be at the place where he had hidden the prince. He and the soldiers hid and waited for his arrival. Not long after, a horseman arrived. It was Minister John a Lamb. As soon as he dismounted, the soldiers arrested him. The inspector drew his sword and placed it on his chest, glaring furiously and roaring, "Traitor, quickly tell us where you have imprisoned the prince." Seeing the inspector's rage, Minister John a Lamb began to tremble with fear. He revealed that the prince was imprisoned in a hut deep in the forest. Soon, they all reached the forest. It was dark and desolate. In the hut where the prince was kept, a lamp was burning, and they could hear the prince's sobs. His eyes were covered, and his hands and feet were tied. The inspector quickly freed him and comforted him. The soldiers also arrested the servant who was guarding the prince. The servant began to cry in fear of punishment. Through his tears, he confessed that Minister John a Lamb had devised this plan and had given him a large sum of gold coins to kidnap the prince from the palace. He also revealed that the minister was deeply hurt that the king had made someone else his special advisor instead of him. To take revenge on the king, he had imprisoned the prince. The soldiers chained both culprits and took them to the prison. The minister and the servant received the punishment they deserved. After this, the inspector brought the prince back to the palace and narrated the whole story to the king. Seeing Prince William, the king breathed a sigh of relief. The queen was overjoyed. The next day, the whole kingdom celebrated. There was also a ceremony in the palace where both the rich and the poor were invited. The queen had specially invited the woman to this celebration. When she arrived, the queen said, "Kind-hearted lady, God has blessed us greatly by safely returning our prince to us. You are the means for this. If you hadn't given us the magical mirror, we would never have known where our prince was." The woman replied, "Your Majesty, you are very kind and merciful. You fulfilled my poor son's wish by inviting him to the prince's birthday, which made my son very happy. God rewarded you for that kindness. Good deeds never go unrewarded. I brought this magical mirror for the prince. He will be very happy to see it." Her words proved true. Prince William was delighted to have this magical mirror. Whenever he thought of anyone, they would appear in the mirror. He kept the mirror with him at all times. The king was also very happy that the prince was found. He rewarded the woman generously, which improved her circumstances, and she lived happily with her husband and son.